Okay, so we want to now define where the spawn position will be. So you go if spawn, well, that's basically saying if spawn equals true, then this transform dot position equals the spawn dot transform dot position. So that'll basically tells the player to get his fucking ass to where the spawn point is. You still there, David? Yeah, I have David on call. He's the one that's gonna help me with the game, aren't you? So I want to now define another function, which will be called onEndGame, which will on onEndGame, which will define. It'll basically tell the game to disable the joysticks on screen after you've done it, so that you can't still have, because if you don't do that, it'll still have the joysticks on screen when you go back to your main page of the Android. So you want to go move touchpad dot disable, which will basically call a function or just disable the touchpad. So you want to go if the rotate touchpad is still on, then we want to go rotate touchpad dot disable. And we don't want to allow any more control changes after we've added it. So you go this dot enabled equals false. And that's basically all you need to define for the onEndGame. So now to the longest function, which is update, and Steve's online. But we won't worry about that. Variable of movement will equal this transform dot transform direction, so that will define the direction you move in. Vector 3, which is your 3D space. Move touchpad dot position dot x, which means that if you move the move touchpad in the x position, it will move you forward. You want to multiply that by 0. Well, sorry, add 0, and then make the move touchpad dot position dot y. And that's where you define where you move forwards. So we only want horizontal movement for this class, so we want to go movement dot y equals 0, and movement dot normalize like that. So movement dot normalize is basically we'll come across a function later on called time.delta, which basically will make every animation in the game look the same on all devices. If you were to just do the animation, basically, it would look different on different devices. So if you had a laggy ass Android device, it'd look all laggy, but if you had a fast one, it'd run at like 120, 130 frames a second. So basically what this normalize does is it takes a normalized frame rate and it will apply the animation speed to the default frame rate. So it'll look exactly the same on each device or computer you have it on. So now we want to apply the movement from the joystick. So variable ABS joy position. So that's basically saying where it's positioned. Would equal a vector 2, which if you remember is the 2D space on your screen. And then math F, which basically says do calculations based on the ABS variable, and then calculate the move touch pad's position on the y-axis according to where the person has his finger on the screen. So this will come up, don't worry about it, because we haven't finished the script yet. Okay, so we want to define a variable if abs joy position dot y is greater than the abs joy is greater than the y position of the joystick. Pos dot x. Then you want to open up curly brace or bracket. Dad, what are these actually called? Hey, David, you still there? Do you know what these are called? What are these called? Speakers. Oh, I can't remember. They're like the type of brackets. Yeah, curly brackets. That's all I've been calling them. Okay, sorry about that. Pizza? Oh, if you can stay on if you want, it doesn't matter. Pizza? Yes. Okay, so you basically got if the joy position on the y-axis is greater than the joy on the x-axis. So basically, if this is greater than this, if movement on this is greater that way than it is that way, then move the player forward in 3D space. So that's what we're going to define next. So we got if. Now you want to define another if statement inside of that. Move touch pad dot position dot y is greater than 0. That's basically a double check to make sure that it is actually forward and not just someone's accidentally leaned on it or tapped it. So that's saying if it's actually moved and held forward, then you want to go movement is times, you want to times it, and which you want to go times equals. Basically, that's the same as saying movement. If you've ever done basic code or anything like that, it's basically saying movement times you go times the number equals movement. That's basically saying that script without the, so you just go x or y or whatever. That's basically saying that in a script. So movement plus equals, and then it's just defining what the x is at the end. So movement plus equals forward speed times the speed that you have defined by how far you have pushed the joystick forward. So then you want to go else. So if it's not, if it's moved in another direction, say on the y-axis, which is backwards, I'm going to go movement times equals back speed times the speed that you've moved the joystick, however far the joystick is backwards. So yeah, like that. And where's that? 57. Unknown identified back speed. So hold up a sec. Times equals backward speed. I called it. Sorry, I should clear up that. And now it's 57. So 57. Argument list. So then I close that. Oops. So I want to go to the variable of movement on my script. And I'll copy and paste. I think it'll give me the same error because I haven't defined it, but if I do that and go back to Unity, yeah, it'll still give me the same error because I haven't defined what the Unity Vector 2 is yet. I've defined it up here, but I haven't defined it what the rotation speed of the Vector 2 is down here. So now, outside of this statement here, so you have this, if, and you want to make another else statement, movement times equals, if you go left or right on the x-axis, it'll do a side step speed, times ABS joy position dot y, and that will say if you've moved left or right on the actual screen. I'm doing tutorials, Alex, you fat shit. I'm sorry, don't hurt me. Okay, so that's the end. You don't want to put anything underneath this, because otherwise it won't be called in the update function. So you want to make a... Oop. So you want to turn that down, Alex. So you're going to want to... Alex?